and welcome to the oddest little podcast on the internet. We are the Odd Pod. What's going on? My name's Stacey Kruger. Who are you boys?
I am casually challenged, and I have seen Star Wars.
I am Rad Hazard 1, and Star Trek is better.
I'm Robbie, and I don't care about either one.
I'm Stacey Kruger, and I could give a fuck less about either of them. How about that? All right, fight me, bitches.
No.
So, I think the real battle is Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who.
Doctor Who.
Oh, I mean, come on. Doctor Who would win every fight. He's got a sonic screwdriver.
Right, bitches? Come on.
Sonic?
Asking who would win out of Star Trek, Star Wars, and Doctor Who is like asking who would win out of Goku, Superman, and Saitama.
Who?
I was expecting that reaction.
Actually, I'm not being funny at all. I mean, who's that one?
Saitama is from an anime called One Punch Man.
Oh, One Punch Man. Never seen it. I just heard everybody talk about how overpowered, like, One Punch Man's the greatest guy on earth. He's never had to use more than one punch. I mean, that's the lamest joke ever.
It's a parody of anime like Dragon Ball Z and things like that.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's literally, like, it's not just a clever title. He literally kills or stops everything in one punch.
I mean,
And
that's just like...
Well, the whole thing about is he's bored being a superhero because it's just one punch. Oh, whoop-de-doo, I win again.
Yeah.
Which, technically, Superman and Goku should be that. You know, but because anime, they, you know...
Superman's anime?
No.
Because reasons.
Well, you lumped Goku and Superman the same as said an anime.
And yes, there has been an anime Superman.
Bullshit, really?
Yes, there's been a Japanese Avengers too.
I need to see these.
Yeah, they're pretty crazy. Well, there's multiple different, like, there's also a whole DC universe that was recreated via, like, imagine if they were in samurai period, whatever. They did it for the DC characters. They did it for Star Wars characters. It's not like an actual story, but okay. It's like they did all these art pieces, and they have Batman as if he were a ninja, and Superman as if he were whatever, and Darth Vader as a samurai, and all this other stuff.
Interesting.
So,
go ahead.
Which anime would be good as a movie?
Oh,
None of them. None of them.
I was about to say, it seems like every single time they try, they fail.
I kind of agree, but at the same time, the most recent example would be Ghost in the Shell, right? That I can think of. I personally liked Ghost in the Shell. I thought it did what it was setting out to do as its own movie perfectly fine. That being said, it wasn't nearly what the anime was, you know, which was closer to the manga. You know, it's a whole, you know, what's the original source material. I think the problem with, in my opinion, between anime and live action is that when you live action an anime, you have to change it for the audience that likes live action, and it completely gets rid of what made it so great for the audience that likes anime.
Well, maybe I'm at a bad point to talk here because I'm not a fan of anime at all, but it's kind of like yesterday. Yesterday, guys. Last week when we talked about trying to do Batman without CGI, it just doesn't work. You imagine trying to do half the shit. Imagine trying to do Dragon Ball Z as a film. It's not going to fucking work.
It's awful.
Wait, they
yeah,
won't.
they
No.
There is a way they could do it. Like there have been fan films that have been pretty faithful to the original source material, but Hollywood would never do that.
Well, and it comes down to, like, for example, Ghost in the Shell is actually a great example of the difference between Americanized Hollywood and Japanese culture, because The anime is more about the exploration of deep philosophical issues relating to self. What is self? And there's a lot of that whole exploration of that concept in the movie, and there's even more of it in the manga and the series. Like, it's not about action, it's not about cybertech, it's about this issue. And that's what a lot of anime ends up being. Yeah, sure, there are your Dragon Ball animes, which is basically just about action. But
my question is about what is self, is what is truth and what is God?
Well, yeah,
someone gets that reference.
but I don't. But
Nobody here has seen Babylon 5.
Nope.
no, I have not seen Babylon 5. I watched Deep Space Nine instead.
I watched that too, but
+1 for Star Trek.
And fight. No.
But like, you can't. I don't think the general American audience that goes to a typical movie would want to sit through 2 hours of philosophical exposition about the difference between real and, like, the closest we've ever gotten to a good live action anime was The Matrix. The first Matrix.
I would agree.
When they started going more close to the anime side of things, people hated it. AKA The Matrix Reloaded and The Matrix Revolutions.
Those were
That
so
was
good.
That was far more anime because of all the philosophy stuff and all of the religion aspects and faith, and it delved into more deeper meaning, so to speak, and people hated it. They said, "Oh, this is the worst movie. I can't believe they did this." I would say they were maybe a little bit heavy-handed and a little bit first year of university with the philosophy stuff. But that being said, this is the two different cultures, and that's why I don't think there will ever be a good anime to live action translation, because you just kind of can't. They're two separate worlds.
So I went and looked up the Dragon Ball live action. It's Dragon Ball Evolution. The budget was $30 million. So you know this is going to be a great movie with a budget of $30 million. On the realm of movies, especially the type of movie that would be an anime movie with all the fucking jumping around and world-destroying bullshit, you would need a bigger budget than that, but 30 mil. They box officed, and this is not just, this is international. 57.5 mil. So they grossed, what, fucking 27 mil? That's it?
Well, no, because you have to take the production budget that they list and then pretty much double it for marketing.
So they lost.
So they essentially lost money.
2.5 million. They lost 2.5 million. Oh my god, I want to watch this just to see how bad it is. It's like,
No, you
John,
don't.
bring over the bong and the alcohol. It's gonna be a long night.
If you watch a movie that badly, make sure you're doing something else, like playing Dead by Daylight, because you will regret the time lost otherwise.
And I mean, this movie is so bad, Riff Tracks can't save it.
Bullshit. They can't save it. Riff Tracks can save anything. They could save Bird Pandemic. I think it was Birdemic. Yeah, Birdemic.
Birdemic, Terror and something.
Yep. They would manage to save that. I think they could save this.
But can they save Alita Battle Angel?
A what? Oh, that thing. the big eye thing. I thought it was a video game at first until I saw the trailer and went, oh, it's an actual movie.
Yeah, okay, so
The name itself sounds like a video game, doesn't it?
There's some things, yeah, it totally does. There's some things that I follow just because I like, Hollywood in general. One of the things that I've been following for kind of a while is James Cameron, for years now, a couple decades, has been mentioning this movie he's wanted to do. And if you don't know who James Cameron is, he's the guy that made Avatar and Titanic. So there you go. He also made, a little movie called Terminator, but, nobody remembers that. So he's been wanting to make this movie based on a manga and an anime called Battle Angel Alita. That's actually the title. I know it says Alita in the trailer thing, but that's what they're calling the movie. It's the title of the comic is Battle Angel Alita. Whatever. Semantics. It's about, and this is where Robbie's ears might perk up. It's about a 14-year-old sex bot.
Thanks for saying, this is where Robbie's ears will perk up, and then proceed with the words 14-year-old.
Well, okay. The sex bot part, I thought your ears might perk up. Anyway, it's about a sex bot who is designed to look like a 14-year-old. Which, it's Japanese, so, go there. And she is discarded in a trash pile, and a scientist finds her and reboots her so that he can have a daughter. Now, obviously, he's not interested in the sex bot part of her, and the reboot program he uses contains old combat algorithms. So basically, the reason it's called Battle Angel Alita is because she ends up accessing the combat algorithms and turns into, a super warrior, which is typical of any anime. Now, if you look at this trailer, and you should totally check out the trailer for Alita. It's Alita. Just type in Alita trailer, you'll find it. They have made her look just like she might look in the manga. And what I mean by that is her eyes are bigger than they should be.
Fucking creepy.
Creepy, yes.
They're not, huge, but they're just big enough for it to be weird.
Oh, gee,
Right.
thanks. Thanks, Robbie. Oh, you're talking
Right.
about the eyes. I thought you were talking about me.
They are Uncanny Valley. If you don't know what the Uncanny Valley is, Google it. She is the very definition of Uncanny Valley. Now, if the rest of the movie also had that, or maybe if other robots had that in the movie, okay, it's just weird and it's a part of this weird movie's culture. But no, it's only her. Everybody else's eyes in the trailer are normal.
Are they going to explain why her eyes are fucked, or it's going to be just
I doubt it.
Here, look at her eyes. You're fine. I mean...
So far, the official explanation why her eyes are weird is it's faithful to the source material.
Oh.
But what? But it's art and all.
This looks like another one of those movies I probably won't watch because it just doesn't look very interesting. Except for the fact that she smashes some robot's head through a table. That looked pretty cool. Beyond that, I don't know. The eyes creep me out.
Yeah, see, it's one of those movies that I'm. What confuses me most of all is that the reason James Cameron did not do this movie up until now is that he kept saying that, quote, the technology is not ready yet to make this movie. Now, obviously, based on the fact that they have a trailer, they started production on this movie at least 3 to 5 years ago, because it takes that long to make a movie, and this is coming soon. So, the other thing that surprises me, James Cameron is not really a part of it. He's only a producer, which, if you don't know what a producer is in Hollywood, they really don't have anything to do with the movie. They just fund it.
If they want to, they can walk in and say, fuck this, you're not allowed to do this, pretty much, though, right?
It depends on the various producer roles and what their contracts say, but generally speaking, a producer is just somebody that has given a very large check to the production, and so they get put on there as producer. There's a bunch of movies that Spielberg produced, and people go, "Oh, this is a Spielberg movie." No, he just put his name on it because he funded a very large chunk of it.
Okay. I don't know. Like I said, it does look interesting because the fights, I guess.
Which could be great. Who knows?
You know what? Maybe this could be, and this is maybe just because I love the movie and I fell in love with the whole type of movie, but John Wick, where it's really a fucking empty movie beyond the fact that it has awesome fight scenes. That's the only thing that's really there for the movie.
Well, okay. Here's the other thing. Unlike a lot of the other anime to live action translations, Alita is kind of a more niche product. Like when Ghost in the Shell came out, all of the anime nerds were watching it.
And bitching about it.
Yes. When Dragon Ball came out, all of the Dragon Ball nerds were watching it and bitching about it. For good reason. In, I would say, both cases. I still liked Ghost in the Shell live action, but it definitely wasn't. It wasn't half as deep, and it wasn't like it just wasn't. But this one, I feel like if it's done well just as a movie, it might actually fall kind of under the radar because I'm not sure many people know it as an anime. Like, I don't think it's going to have as much of a stigma going into it because so few people are going to even know what it is.
That may help it. Like you were saying, it's going to fly underneath the radar. It may actually help it because the fact that it will fly underneath the radar. And so people won't be expecting the anime feel, I guess.
What would you do if this was the movie that opened up the doorway for more anime adaptations?
Me? I
Either of
ignore
you.
it. Just like ignore everything else.
Well,
all jokes
I
aside,
think this would actually be a good. Like, if this did end up being great and everybody loved it and people started figuring out the right way to do it, I think that would be fine for this movie. If you were to tell me that Angry Birds was going to be the first real video game movie that made a box office success, I would have bashed my head against a wall, but it didn't, so we're safe.
But remember, this is the same Hollywood that learns the wrong lessons. Do you trust them to really get it right?
I don't trust Hollywood, but if we... Well, it depends. For example, they finally figured out how to make a fantasy movie right with The Lord of the Rings. Now, have we gotten the same level of fantasy movie since? Not really. But at least they have a template that they can use. And maybe Alita will be that template for anime to live action. I don't know.
Maybe.
Again, it could just suck.
I have to talk about this because it's been bugging the shit out of me. My kids, and this is completely off the fucking deep end here, so just like grab your popcorn and prepare for Stacey to take this thing right off the fucking rails. My kid's been watching this fucking YouTube videos of people with hydraulic presses.
Oh, yeah. I remember that was a thing for a little bit.
Oh, it's still apparently huge. And I asked my children, because they're watching, they're like, Dad, isn't this cool? I said, why? Well, he wants to know what's going to happen. Son, he's crushing a ceramic bowl with a fucking press. What do you think's going to happen?
I'm pretty sure there's a fetish in there.
What's that?
Pretty sure there's a fetish in there.
That's what I was actually going to ask. Because I knew that there was a fetish for stomping on things with shoes. Like, especially live action, live things like snails and shit. Like, there are some people that get off on that. Is this part of it? Is just a sneaky way of doing it? Is it just people who like destroying shit? Why destroy shit? Are you the reason there's the landfills in this world are filling up as much as they are? I mean, Christ, man.
I don't know if the video makers do that with the intention of it being that, but I'm pretty sure that's a large part of their audience.
Like, my kids just love shit getting destroyed. I mean, what kid doesn't? But it's just weird. Like, I remember watching this, I was like, yeah, it's a fucking glass bowl. It's going to shatter. Well, you never know, Dad. No, I know. I know I've destroyed enough shit in my life to know what happens when you crush a glass bowl. I know, okay? It just seems silly. I mean,
Physics tells us.
right? It's just so weird. I don't get it. How could a channel like that get so big?
Well, this next glass bowl could be the one that is literally unbreakable. You can find the next physics breakthrough.
I don't know. I would say it's kind of like there was a company that made a blender that was so powerful. They said it could blend anything, and so they did a couple of YouTube videos initially just to show how it could blend anything, and they put like a brick in there or something, and it blended it. And it became such a huge sensation, and you can never guess what YouTube is going to make the next sensation because it's all about the community. And it became such a huge sensation that they did like 40 videos over the next like few years, and everybody was, oh, what are they going to blend next? I feel like that's what this is. It's just that next thing that people are just like, oh, I have to see what they're crushing next in this press. Will it crush? Yes, of course it will.
It's a fucking hydraulic press. Of course it's going to crash. I mean, it
crushed a Terminator.
Right? What the fuck, man?
If it doesn't crush, then you don't put it in a hydraulic press in the first place.
You know, like the Blend Tech one, at least I can understand because they're like throwing a crowbar and they're like, of course it's not going to. Holy shit, it actually took a huge chunk off that it actually shaved a bunch off the crowbar. That one was interesting. Use a hydraulic press on like a fucking metal bowl or a fucking a bike tire. What the fuck do you expect's gonna happen? Of course. Go ahead.
Maybe it's part of like the whole like, not necessarily part of the ASMR thing, but maybe it's part of the whole like satisfying things that satisfy people.
Oh, that like where they'll hack something, like they'll cut into something. It's just so perfect you can't help but be satisfied by it. Bullshit.
Yeah, and I think one of those things is people really feel really satisfied watching things get crushed, I guess.
Well, I mean, it is kind of human nature to like to destroy things. Like, we like to build and we like to destroy. So, you know, I guess people just like watching things get smushed.
Yeah.
Some people, Master Wayne, just want to watch the world burn.
Well, this is it's one of those things. I mean, it's just weird. It's so fucking weird. But maybe it's just because I don't understand the world and I'm just a crotchety old man. Bah, bah, bah.
An old man who could still do bodies by Disturbed Pool.
Floor! Alright, so in case you guys are wondering what he's referencing, the other day I watched a video. It was like Americans Got Talent, or that's what the show's called, right?
Well, there's a bunch of shows I don't of that nature. That could be it.
The whole watch somebody get on stage to do a stupid human trick for a crowd to get either applauded or ridiculed. That type of show.
Like I said, there's at least a couple of different shows like that. But that is probably the one you were watching, yeah.
So this like 78-year-old guy gets on, and he was one of the people that worked on the Hubble telescope, and
he was at 82.
Oh, 82, thank you. Did all these cool things, and he's like, I'm going to sing, and this is the highlight of my life. He's like, okay, and everybody's like, go ahead and sing. And he starts singing Bodies by Drowning Pool. And I'm losing my shit, 'cause like, this guy's actually halfway decent until he got to the verse, and then it didn't sound as good. But still, I was like, this is funny. This is really funny. You know, obviously everybody in the crowd, the judges hated him for it. But still, I was like, this is fucking awesome. I want to be like this when I'm 82. Just get on stage and don't give a fuck and make everyone laugh. I love that.
You mean you're not 82?
Fuck you, Robbie. You know, that actually happened yesterday. I was at the dollar store. I had to go pick up some toothbrushes and shit.
You fucked Robbie?
I'm done. Fuck you guys. No, I did not.
Gentlemen, derailed by Casually Challenged.
My dick is not nearly long enough to reach across the big fucking pond and fuck Robbie, okay?
Plus, you gotta get past my buns.
Robbie with the buns of steel.
What kind of podcast is this turning into?
Right? Kind of like when I went to go talk to a potential sponsor for my stream, and we had a really weird morning coffee where one of the first jokes out the gate was someone made a joke about how I came on coffee, like, oh yeah, that's the best shit. Right in the coffee, stir it up, creamy as shit, good stuff. And that's the first thing they heard of me, because they hadn't heard anything from my show. They were just hyped up by everybody heard about my show. So like, well, can we see your show? I'm like, go ahead. I'm going to go click on a different show. Like, here, we'll click on this one. Oh no. Oh no. And they watched it. Go ahead.
It was at that point Stacy realized he done fucked up.
You should see. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's at that point Stacy realized, and no sponsor ever.
Apparently, they're still debating it, which is awesome, you know. But you could just see the instant cringe come across their face. I went, oh, fuck me. I'm like, yeah, it was a weird show that day. Oh, shit. So,
Stacey,
yes.
When that happens, you look them dead in the eye and then wink.
I should have. Fuck. That would have been awesome. I would have lost it immediately. They would have kicked me out of the store, but that would have been perfect.
But then, as you kick out of the store, you yell back to the door, #worth.
Oh, no. Where is this podcast going? Guys, did you know Crytek decided to sue Star Citizen Studios?
Awkward segue.
Welcome to Segways of the Future, where they don't have any actual segues.
God damn it. Over breach of contract and copyright infringement. Go ahead, casual.
And while Stacy is trying to recover, so there's this little game called Star Citizen. Everybody pretty much knows that it kind of exists, and everybody assumes that it's never actually going to release.
But this is the game that's going to change everything. It could do all the things.
Yeah, and to be fair, they're trying to do all the things, but whatever the case, when they originally started making the game, they were making it with CryEngine. If you don't know what CryEngine is, it kind of made its name back in the day with the original Far Cry.
Oh,
that was the first game that they made, and it was their own engine, and it was going to try and compete with things like Unreal Tech and whatever other companies are out there making video game engines. Well, somewhere along the line, they stopped using CryEngine, and they started using something else because CryEngine was not going to be able to do the things they wanted to do to make this game that can do everything. Crytek had a couple of deals with them. One of those deals was that they would advertise Crytek. Like, you know, when a game starts, you have those little advertisements at the beginning of the game that advertise what things are a part of the game. You know, brought to you by NVIDIA. Here's this other logo, whatever. Well, they removed those logos from the game because they stopped using CryEngine. They removed the Crytek stuff from it because they're not using it anymore. So CryEngine is suing them for that, for removing the advertising, and for continuing to use elements of the CryEngine when they said they're not using it, blah, blah, blah. Here's the real story as I did more research. Crytek is close to and or entering bankruptcy.
Oh.
Yeah. They're basically looking for ways to get some money out of anything they can. This is potentially an easy way for them to do so. I gotta be honest, though, based on what I read, which wasn't much, it was a couple of articles on it, I don't think they have a chance in hell.
So basically it's sue so we can make sure we don't lose our incomplete asses, and that's about it. Really, nothing more, nothing less. I mean...
Yeah, I mean, they might sort of have a case, but, like, this is one of those things where if you delve deeper, you start to realize, oh, they're going after Star Citizen not because they did something that they can sue for, but more because Star Citizen has enough money that they think they can get some of it.
My understanding was that the developer of Star Citizen was using the Crytek engine for Star Citizen and another game that they didn't have permission for.
Okay, well, that's another problem here. Is it's not another game. What it is it's Star Citizen, and this is the way it's being worded by the articles. It's Star Citizen and Squadron 42. Well, Squadron 42 isn't another game. Squadron 42 is the single player of Star Citizen. They're just calling it Squadron 42 because it's the story. Now, there might be a little bit of a case there because Squadron 42 is being sold separately, like you can just buy the single player component. But still, it's part of Star Citizen, so I'm not sure how that,
Here's the problem with Star Citizen. It's been sold as everything and anything, so I've stopped giving a flying fuck about it. You know what I mean? So it's going to fail miserably on all fronts. So stop caring about it. And once we hear about going, well, this is going to be sold with the game, and it's going to be, but it's a totally separate game, but it's really part of the same pack. Okay, so basically, Star Citizen tried to fuck over Crytek, go to Lumberjack. Was it Lumberjack? No, Lumberyard instead, which is the engine they switched to, which is Amazon's engine. So they tried to switch to that instead. And instead of...
Well, they did switch to it
what I meant
over
was,
a year ago.
Instead of leaving everything from CryEngine behind, they try to keep some of the assets and try to sneak it in there.
That's the thing. That's what Crytek is claiming. That's when it's going to have to get into the legal issues, and they'll have to figure out code and all this other stuff. But and who knows? Maybe they did. But I just think that it sounds like a desperate ploy on Crytek's part to try and make money back.
Now here's my question for you: if they win this lawsuit and they get a good chunk of cash, are they going to be able to stay out of bankruptcy because of it?
I doubt it.
Then
the main problem is that the reason that Crytek is losing money and firing people and all of that is their engine was great a decade ago, but unlike Unreal's engine that continues to update itself every 5 years or so, I don't know, maybe more, maybe less. Crytek's engine hasn't really modified itself in any great ways since it came out. Like, it has, but not to the same levels that Unreal has. Okay. So what? And the other factor there is that Unreal became sort of free to use. They basically changed. It used to be that you had to pay a certain fee, just like Crytek or for CryEngine, but they changed it so that you can use it. And if you don't make a certain amount of money, then you don't have to pay them. But if you do make a certain amount of money, then you have to pay them a percentage. It's really legalese at that point. But because Unreal made itself more accessible, people are using Unreal instead of CryEngine because it's more accessible. It's got architecture that's relatively easy to use for game developing, and why go to CryEngine where you have to pay out of the gate when you can just use Unreal?
I suppose it makes sense. It does make sense. I mean, it makes great business sense, and that's part of the reason why they won, obviously. I do want to talk about a couple different games, though, and a couple that I'm actually really surprised about. One, Papers, Please coming to the Vita. I didn't realize Vita was still having games made for it. I haven't seen a Vita game in Walmart in years. Of course, it's been a while since I've been to Walmart, but still, Are Vita games still being sold at Walmart's even?
I mean, I would assume so, if it's coming to Vita.
That's why I didn't know if they moved to strictly download or.
Honestly, I have no idea. I haven't had a console of any kind for like 5 years now.
Oh, okay. I still have my PSP. I still have my Vita. I still have everything. You know, I love consoles. I love them. They're limited,
So do I.
but I love them.
Where I work, we have some Vita games, maybe a grand total of like 12. Occasionally, some people will ask if we have some Vita games in, but yeah, we don't get that many in or sell that many.
It's kind of my point. I had, Papers, Please. Papers, Please is a fantastic game. Awesome game. So much fun. But is it, really? Vita? I mean, I would have never guessed it to come to the Vita.
I mean, okay, the Vita has like a touch screen, right?
On both the front and back.
Okay, so I guess that could work, but
I always seen more tablets or phones, that type of thing.
Well, yeah, because if you've never played Papers, Please, it's a very mouse-friendly game because you're basically moving stuff around the screen and you're clicking on things constantly. And I could see it on a tablet because a tablet screen is big enough. Like, it's kind of like some people were annoyed that the game FTL was not coming to phones. It was only coming to, well, and it's even more annoying, it only came to iOS tablets. But there's a reason that they can't make it any smaller. There are some games that you just can't make any smaller because could you imagine trying to, on your standard size phone, trying to tap the little figures in Papers, Please?
Hell no. No.
Or in FTL? Like, you'd ham fist everything. Like, no, go there. Oh, don't fire that weapon. No, don't do that.
That might only work on like a Note, like one of the Galaxy Note.
Yep, the big ass ones. Yeah.
No, even the Notes are not that big. I have one.
I know, but they have like a stylus.
Yeah, that's exactly the point of the stylus.
That's true. With the stylus, I could see that. But still, either way, like the Vita screen isn't that much bigger than like a Note. So I don't know how they're even gonna make that work with Papers, Please.
I have no idea. I mean, it's going to be fun to see because I will, if I can, if I decide to, I might buy it for my Vita. But I already own it for the fucking PC, so why buy it? But it'd be cool to see how they would do it. But once again, I can't help but go back to your point of you're going to fucking mash all over that screen because how the fuck are you going to move around with a tiny little... Unless they somehow figure out a way to make it work with the controller... But
I can't even imagine paper. I am a controller user. I love my controllers for most of my games, but there are just some games you can't use a controller for. And Papers, Please is one of them. Like it doesn't I can't even. In fact, I don't even want to use the mouse. I want to actually be sitting there at that desk in Papers, Please with the papers, because it's difficult even with the mouse.
Oh man, I kind of want to buy it just to see what they did.
Well, you have a Vita.
Yeah, exactly. I just have to dig it out of the closet. The part of the reason why I forgot Vita games were being sold is because I kind of left the Vita behind. It was such a badly utilized system. It had so much potential, but it was just shit on.
You have to also keep in mind that the Vita came out after the somewhat debacle with the PSP Go.
Oh yeah,
people were confused that wasn't a new system, but it sort of was, and it didn't use the discs. And why can't I use my discs anymore? And then, very shortly after they announced the Vita, then combine all of that with the fact that the ruler of the console handheld market is, and probably always will be, Nintendo.
Maybe. I don't know if I would agree it will always be, but they definitely are currently.
Well, if the Switch works, they could be. Like if the Switch works the way it should, in the sense that it becomes the new portable, like, I don't know if it will, but
I want to talk to you guys about the Switch, though. Of all the genre of games to have on a Switch, what is the least intelligent one to have on there, guys? What would you think would be the worst decision to have on a handheld like the Switch?
Real-time strategy.
Really? I didn't think that'd be so bad. What do you think, Casual?
I think that would actually be kind of okay, because it does have a touchscreen and it's a decent size. Not the best, but fighting game?
Nope, I think they already have one. No, that's well, it's
not counting not counting Brawl or whatever they're going to do.
They have Street Fighter 4 on Switch.
You want to know my absolute worst thought? Horror games. Such as jump scare type of games. Like Outlast 1 and 2 coming to the Switch. Now, I want you all to stop and think about this for 30 seconds, okay? Extremely expensive Switch. Not exactly the most durable thing on earth. You have little Johnny Nudnik, 12-year-old playing it, playing Outlast, and that's when the doctor with the donger comes flying into his face, and there goes the Switch across the fucking room because he gets so scared he chucks it without thinking.
How do you spell that last name?
Fuck you.
Well, first of all, you're assuming that they're going to be playing the Switch undocked.
My kids refuse to play it docked.
Okay, well, then you just tell them
Stacy's kids are weird.
they only get one Switch, and if they break it, that's it.
You know what? That never works. And you know what? Did that work with you when you were a kid to stop you from doing stupid shit?
No, I broke like controllers and stuff like that when I was, because and keep in mind, when I broke the controllers, it wasn't from throwing them into walls when I was a kid. It was because I was pushing the buttons so hard that the buttons would break.
That happened to you too, huh?
Because, obviously pushing the button harder will make you jump further.
I see. Mine was Killer Instinct. I was sitting there trying to beat the shit out of Hutch so bad. I'm like, just do it harder. Oh, shit. Why is my Super Nintendo controller working anymore?
Yeah, I actually pushed a button through, not through but like, I pushed the button so hard that it pushed into the controller, and I was like, uh-oh.
Oops. I think if I remember correctly, it was my buddy Nick actually did something similar to that with Mega Man X.
Well, it's that moment where you break the controller and you're like, my brother just broke the controller.
Or kind of like when I put a hole in the wall by chucking it. The damn dog farted.
Yeah, that just doesn't exactly work.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
I was never one of those guys that broke a controller, but I punched my TV out of anger once.
Jesus
Ouch.
Christ. I mean,
There's all like RayTube TV as well.
Am I the only one who sees a problem with Outlast 1 and 2 coming to the Switch and the pure damage that could cause?
I mean, yeah. In fact, I legitimately think that Outlast is a great idea on the Switch, because the whole idea, in fact, depending on how they do it, because I know the Wii U screen thing was actually one of those screens that had all kinds of sensitive things inside where you could move it around. Yep. And some games well, Outlast seems like that kind of game. Like, if the Switch works that way, like, it feels like the kind of game where you could actually move the screen around to look around your surroundings, because it's got that whole camera mechanic and all of that stuff.
That would be interesting to see. Absolutely, that'd be fun to see. I don't know, like, maybe it's just because my inner dad kicks in and instantly just goes to pure terror. It's like as if, back when you were a kid and you would touch the thermostat and your dad would like jump out of nowhere like, you little bastard! I'm the same exact way when I see my kids touch anything. What are you doing? You're going to break it. Dad has grabbed a glass of water, but you're going to break it. My inner dad kicks in so hard when I think of this game and a handheld console. You know what I mean?
Well, to be fair, as kids, we did break a lot of things. So, you know.
You got a point there. I remember my mom actually did try to use that threat. Like, you're only going to get one of these. I broke a controller. What happened? A week later, here you go, Stace. Stop bitching.
Sure, because they don't. That's the key. All right, fine. Stop wearing me down.
Now you just got to have a stubborn parent like me who actually like, well, you done fucked up, didn't you? See you later. You don't get shit anymore. All right, and one game I never thought would be completed, let alone come to the PS4, The Forest. Who here actually remembers The Forest?
Vaguely?
I saw a streamer play the early access of The Forest, and he played it for like a couple hours, and then he said, well, that was a fun game. Maybe when it comes out, I'll play it again. It's out. He hasn't touched it.
And I said the exact same thing, and I haven't touched it again since either. It's just, you know.
I discovered I own it, and I still haven't touched it. Like,
I love you're like, I own this fucking thing? What?
I tend to buy games in humble bundles because they're super cheap.
Okay, yep.
And I ended up, I think that's how I got it, because I know I didn't pick it up like any other way. But like I looked at it and I went, oh, this is in full release now. I'm going to go play some GTA.
You know, here's the thing. And it seems like this is a trend to me because, it's full release. Full release. The person who was making it just got tired of just working on it. I'm pretty damn sure because I've seen people play it. It doesn't look any better at all. It like a few of the promised things like a rabbit cage actually works now, but that's really about it. Otherwise, it's pretty. But it seems like a trend because look at Ark. The Forest. What's another one of those type of build games? Not Ark. There was another one.
There's tons of them.
But that type of genre is getting pushed to the console, not finished. I mean, sure, Ark is technically full release, but let's not act like idiots here for 30 seconds and realize it's not finished.
So is Minecraft. So is, there's a lot of games that are becoming, quote, full release, but are they? Are they really?
I think Minecraft is a special case because of the fact that they're actually continuing fixing it, continually producing more shit for it, where these ones seem like they just kind of stopped and left it there. I think that's why Minecraft is a little different to me.
Well, no, Ark is still getting stuff done. Like they're releasing a whole other expansion to it. Like, the problem, and I would argue with you about Minecraft releasing new content. I mean, there hasn't been. They've released some blocks and they're doing some new texture remodeling, but that's
they
not
have
new
fixed
content.
Mechanics within it to make it work proper. That's the difference.
But I would argue they're all the same. Like I would argue they're all the exact same. They do little fixes. They add a couple of small new things, but they don't really add anything. It's just kind of more of the same. It never feels complete.
That I'll admit. That I'll absolutely admit. It's just it's mind blowing to me how many of the uncompleted ones or just the genre itself are getting pushed to the consoles. I just didn't think it'd be that big of a thing.
I would agree on that. Like I don't know why the consoles are suddenly grabbing things like PUBG and The Forest and all these other games. Like it kind of makes me sad a little bit for the consoles because keep in mind when games were going to consoles back in the day when they didn't have internet connections, they had to be as complete as possible before they released it. Mm-hmm. As few bugs, as much polish as possible. But then around the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 era, they started releasing games that were a bit more buggy because they were connected to the internet and they could just patch them later.
I'd say the best example is you get a game. Day one, there's a multi-gigabyte patch.
Right.
Yeah.
And day 2, there's another patch. And day 3, there's another patch. Because they don't release them complete anymore. They get them to we have 90% of the bugs taken care of. Too bad in that 10% we didn't take care of, there's still some crashes to desktop and some game-breaking bugs. But, we'll fix it eventually.
Well, I think maybe we should stop endorsing that type of behavior at all, because I remember seeing something, I retweeted it, and I was thinking about adding my own little caveat into it, but I decided not to. The tweet itself was, if you're like this guy, stay out of game testing or early access of any kind if you cannot grasp the fundamental notion that you're testing broken software to find the broken parts and report them or provide data. What this guy tweeted was, this was his post. So people defending Rare for having all these server issues just because it's alpha, and they're stress testing, and we're entitled, spoiled, that the people who are bitching about it are entitled and spoiled. Shut up. A lot of us have waited months to touch this game. If they can't handle this amount of players, they shouldn't have invited us. I left work early for this. I lost money for nothing. Disappointed. Okay, well, here's the thing. How about instead we just stop endorsing the thought of, testing people's games for them. This whole thought of, it's an early access game. We should endorse this. We should help them test their product. No, how about we make them go back to the old days where they would release a completed game, a proper game that's not fucked up.
That would be nice, but we don't live in that world.
I mean, if enough people pulled their heads out of their asses and stopped acting like little children going, oh, give me the early access, wouldn't they have to at that point?
Again, that's what I'm saying. We don't live in that world. We don't live in a world where people will en masse. Like the closest we've gotten to people making some potentially smart choices is people complaining about the loot box thing in Battlefront 2. But even that is not really enough to stop all of that. Because the biggest problem there is that they're complaining about the loot boxes in Battlefront 2, but they're still buying the game.
That's the biggest fucking thing, and that's where I've been trying to drill into people's skulls, and that's what blows my mind. Because remember, a very good buddy of mine, he was talking about, I bought Battlefront 2. I'm like, why? He's like, well, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to buy any microtransactions. Like, but you don't get it. You're still supporting it. He said, well, how am I still supporting this? Because you bought the game in general.
Bought the game.
They're gonna go, well, you know what? This one person didn't buy any microtransactions, sure, but they still bought our game, which means they still endorse this type of behavior.
And that's the reason that I say we just don't live in that world. We live in a world where our wallets speak to the developers and the publishers. Well, what our wallets are saying, unfortunately, is, yes, we like early access. Please continue to do it. Yes, we like microtransactions. Please continue to do it. Yep. Please give us more season passes. And when I say that, I mean literally more, not each game, but more season passes per game. There's a game that I bought that has a season pass, and that was for one aspect of the game. Then later they released another season pass for a different aspect of the game, because the first season pass didn't actually cover everything for the... It's just, and I hate to say I am a part of the problem, because I wanted all the cars, damn it.
God damn
so
it.
I bought it, and I would love to be able to withhold, but it also comes down to spoilers. You want to experience the game at the same time everyone else is, because if you come in late, then nobody's playing it.
True.
So it's catch-22 that I don't think will ever be resolved in our lifetime.
Can I praise just one developer, though, for doing something good? I mean, a lot of people hate this developer for it, but I think they're doing fucking awesome, and I can't help but applaud them. Epic Games, which is the developer of Fortnite. Now, Casual, you're the one who brought this to me, and I can't help but love them for this. They're bringing a legal case against a legal cheater. Alleged cheater.
Okay.
I love
The
this.
reason I actually posted this particular bit of news wasn't in relation to, like, I think it is first of all, it's not, cheating is not illegal. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that goes for every element of cheating. Like, for instance, cheating on your wife or your husband is technically not illegal. Cheating at cards
it depends on the state. Depends on the state.
In Las Vegas is technically not illegal. Cheating at video games is not illegal. What it is it is against the terms of service.
I was about to say, I think
means,
adultery itself, though, is illegal in certain states, but those are really few and far between. And more
there's
the
a lot of
states.
laws that some states have never taken off the books that they
Very
don't
true.
actually follow.
Very true.
I'm sure witchery is probably still illegal in some counties.
True.
But what I'm saying is, like, people think that cheating is illegal. Like, in Vegas, there's this thought process, oh, I can't cheat because it's illegal. Now, you also can't cheat in, like, you can't just literally grab the dealer's cards, because then they're going to say, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
You know, but what I'm saying is that when they catch you in Vegas,
Mm-hmm.
in the mafia days, they might break your arm or have you killed, depending on situations.
Yeah.
In the modern days, well, they might still break your arms. There's,
They'll rough the shit out of you, for
that
sure.
stuff hasn't gone out the window. People think that Vegas is a nicer place. It is on the surface. In
Well,
video
yeah.
games, when you cheat, if you cheat, there is a terms of service for all online games that you click agree on. And most people, myself included, we don't read that. It's
no.
like 30 pages worth of legalese that basically says that they have the option, the whoever's running the game, to not allow you to play their game.
You know
For
what? Here,
so many,
real quick, out of everyone here, even our unspeaking observer, T-Dub, who is a supporter of the podcast here, a monthly supporter.
How does he support the podcast, by the way?
By subscribing to me on twitch.tv/JC Kruger as a tier 2 sub. We'll get into more of that soon. But first, who here actually reads a legalese? Anybody here? Please, is there anybody here even once read through all that bullshit even once?
never.
Once.
No.
Whoa, Rad, you actually did?
Yes, I did.
T-Dub, have you at all, buddy? But Rad, while we're waiting for T-Dub to respond, how bored are you?
Well, I was
T-Dub did
looking at
Jesus.
I was actually looking at the Steam terms of service way back when, like a number of years ago, because I wanted to know, do I actually own the game or not?
Okay, so that makes a little more sense.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I didn't, but I do know that technically they can take away those games at any time they want to.
Ain't that fucked? But all right, sounds good. I had to ask. But go ahead, Casual. I didn't mean to derail you, buddy.
Well, anyway, I'm just saying that when it comes to stopping cheaters, there's like a million different potential resources that game developers use. Everything from programs to literally watching what gamers do to reports from other gamers. All of this stuff goes into basically the only option they've ever had is, okay, you are cheating, we ban your account. And then the people come back with a new account or whatever. Or they just stop playing. Well, this case is interesting to me because what they're claiming, and I'm not sure that this is actually even possible, what they're claiming is that the cheater used their assets to create a program to cheat with. Now, I can tell you from experience with cheating in single-player games, because screw you, it's my game.
Single player is one thing. Single player, I don't give a fuck. If you want to cheat
that
single.
I use what is known as a trainer, and what a trainer does is it accesses parts of the code in the game, and it modifies them for the purposes of saying, oh, your ammo count is going down? Well, let's just stop that. Oh, your health is going down? Let's make it regenerate. Now, is that trainer utilizing the code in such a way that I am making money off of it? I don't know. Like I legitimately don't know, because I do actually pay a site for these trainers.
Oh,
I have a lifetime subscription on a website. I'm not going to give the name because I don't want to get anyone in trouble, but it is, they put out trainers for hundreds of games now. I mean, it used to be small numbers, but I mean, considering the number of games that are out there. And I paid a lifetime subscription, so many moons ago, and I get the trainers free now. But I've never looked at it as them actually stealing the assets, because they're just they are accessing the code with the program, but it's hard to explain. Like, I don't even know the full way that trainers work.
You know, this is where it gets down to me at my core of being obsessed with open source and free, as in freedom, as far as it goes for coding. I just go like, fuck yeah, free, but then I hear about this, I'm going, fuck yeah, closed source. I feel so conflicted. Right now, because I play, as you made the joke earlier about me playing Dead by Daylight. I play a lot of that game. I love that game. But there's a big problem with people cheating, where they'll do a thing called leg switching so they can teleport across the map. So when you're playing as a killer, it's impossible to catch them because all of a sudden they're way away from you. How the hell did that happen? Or they'll use macros so they can crash the entire game if they're about to get caught so they don't lose anything, that type of stuff. So me thinking like, oh, that's fucking awesome. Maybe this will start a new wave to actually stop people from doing it. But at the same time, free coding, that software should be free. But it'll encourage this. So it's like, fuck.
And that's kind of my problem with this whole thing. Now, what has apparently happened, and keep in mind, this is only the parts that have actually been publicized by various gaming media sources, because nobody else gives a crap. They have not. So first of all, who they sued was a 14-year-old kid. Okay, now, can they even do that? Like I feel like
parents.
that's kind of, yeah, but it gets very weird from all the weird legal aspects. Then the other thing is that because they're suing they're not technically suing about the cheating, but they're making it about the cheating. They're suing about the theft of assets that are used in their game.
Okay.
Now, the kid himself, again, he's not the one that is making the program. He's just using a program from a third-party site. So, shouldn't they be going after the people that are making the program? Like, again, this feels like a big media, like they wanted to attack a 14-year-old kid so that it made the media, so that it made them seem like they're doing good or whatever. And I'm not sure that they are, because at the end of the day, they have apparently I can't remember what you call it. It's an injunction, which basically means that if the kid continues to use the cheating thing then he can potentially get fined up to $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
Now, first of all, how can they even enforce it? Second of all, it's in the appeals process.
Yeah.
Because all these things go through that. It's not like case closed. Cheating is now bad. This is just one step, but they're not going to publicize anything else. I always go back to the McDonald's hot coffee thing where they got sued by some person that spilled their coffee on themselves and said, "Oh, I burned myself and I crashed my car and it's your fault that the coffee was hot."
Because you didn't write hot coffee on it, you dumb bitch.
Right, and the media blew up with the story. They won millions of dollars and stuff. Well, what the media didn't cover later, except in a tiny blurb somewhere in a hidden portion of a newspaper, is that was later repealed.
Yep.
I feel like this is going to be one of those cases where this is going to be repealed and nobody's going to cover it and everybody's going to think, "Oh no," which makes me think that Fortnite kind of won no matter what, because this is the first case of cheating being thought of even more so as illegal.
Now, is that bad though? Honestly, I mean, think about it in the long term. For you to enjoy your online experience, as let me pull on your experience with the game fucked over in GTA 5 when you weren't cheating, but somebody else was.
Yes, but
now this could stop that from happening. Well, first off, could you explain to everybody what happened with your experience?
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, I have been banned twice on GTA Online.
I only heard about this one time.
The first time was not my fault. The second time was my fault. So the first time, there's ways of getting money illegitimately in that game, and it all runs through programs of some sort. Anyway, what happened was you go to a lobby. There's anywhere from 1 to, I think, about 20 players on any given lobby. Mm-hmm. And some of them have access to these modding tools. And sometimes they literally drop money from the sky. Well, in the earlier days of GTA Online, they were banning anyone that got any kind of modifications to anything. So, like, if they found that your game had been modded, like, even if it was somebody else that was messing around in a lobby, mm-hmm. then they would ban you. That's what happened the first time. The second time I was doing it myself. I was making custom license plates for all my cars.
At first, what their anti-cheat was looking for, does somebody get way too much money in a short amount of time? That's not possible.
Yeah.
Which is how you got banned the first time.
And so I got banned because somebody else gave me money. Now they've changed it so that they're actually looking for the modding tools, and mm-hmm. there are ways to find them now. But I guarantee people have already gotten around that too, because I've been in lobbies where there are still people modding. So,
I guess that's the real question, though. Is it really that bad? I mean, is it really bad to stop people, or at least even scare them into stopping, where you could enjoy your online game again the way it's supposed to be enjoyed?
Well, I think the problem comes in that, will this stop anything?
Maybe. I would say it's a very definite maybe. If you get people actually scared, then yeah. I mean, is that technically what a law is supposed to do, is scare people to not doing it? It doesn't physically stop them. It's supposed to be the fear of getting busted that's going to stop them.
Right. I don't think it's going to stop anybody. I think it's like any criminal enterprise. Like, if it were to be a criminal enterprise, again, it's not technically illegal. Even now, people are just going to keep doing it and finding new ways to get around all the various ways to get caught.
There's always going to be a subsection, of course. I mean, no matter what. But I'd imagine it's going to stop a larger percentage, right?
Maybe.
I mean, Robbie, Rad, do you guys have any opinions on this?
Well, it's kind of... Okay, in some ways, it's kind of similar to what happened with Napster.
Yes.
In the mid-2000s. The companies, record companies went after them about people illegally downloading music. Mm-hmm. Now, the big difference is downloading music without permission is illegal.
Yes.
So after Napster, music downloading kind of fell off a cliff for a while.
Yeah, I did.
And it kind of slowly came back. So there's still illegal downloads are still out there. It's not. I would say it's not at Napster levels, but it's still fairly respectable as far as the number goes.
Yeah. Robbie, I know you still play Final Fantasy 14, right? Or is it? Or I can't remember if it was that or the other game. What was the other one? Oh shit!
Yeah, the online one was 11, I believe.
No, there was a different one you were playing besides that.
I used to play Elder Scrolls Online.
That's what I was thinking of. You don't play that one anymore?
I haven't played that one for a long, long time.
Okay. Now imagine somebody was acting like a douchebag. You were playing PvP on 14 or doing something like that, and they got in your way of enjoyment. Would you be pissed if they found a way to stop them and stop them permanently?
What do you mean? Like if someone was like fucking around and then
insta killed you in game? Would you be pissed if they took legal action against them to stop them from doing it again?
I mean, I wouldn't be pissed if they took. I think it'd be silly to take legal action. I think if they like reworked the game so they couldn't do that, I could understand doing that. But I think taking like legal action seems a bit silly.
So you think this Fortnite thing's kind of silly then, eh?
Well, yeah, it seems like a knee-jerk reaction. It's a video game. You can change the video game so they can't do that.
That's the thing. I don't disagree, but there's always going to be ways to get around it. I mean, look at Casual talk about what he uses, the trainers. There's always going to be a way to find a way around them, right?
I know, but that's why you continuously update and fix holes like that.
Isn't that just a Band-Aid over a shotgun wound, though?
Well, no, it's not a wound, though. Where it's basically like... It's hard to explain. Like, basically, I feel like going after cheaters under legal means, unless the law starts saying that cheating is illegal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, unless they actively say that cheating in any form, like, and it would start in Vegas if it's going to start anywhere.
Very true.
If the court system actually came out and said, you know what, cheating is ruining whatever. It's ruining everyone's experience. It's ruining the industry. It's, all of whatever, and we're going to officially make it illegal. Now, if you cheat, you can be prosecuted up by the law. Then it would be fine. But the problem I have with this is that because it's not, this is just the Fortnite developers basically trying to get around the system.
And by no means am I saying that it should be illegal as far as laws go. I disagree with suing them as for breaking contract.
Right, and that's what I'm saying is they're not suing for breaking contract. They're suing for the theft of their assets.
Good point. Very good
and
point.
That's why I say they're going around the system to make this a cheating issue when it's really, they're calling it a cheating issue, but it's not because it can't be. And I feel like it's cheating the system to stop cheating.
I suppose I can get what saying there.
Believe it or not, there is a movie quote that perfectly describes this from Fortnite's point of view.
What's that?
It's not about the money, it's about sending a message.
Well, and here's the thing with this. I don't think I would have gave as much of a shit, except for the fact that this little 14-year-old was being an absolute asshole. I mean, he kept getting banned. He kept
14,
doing it.
Yeah, what do you expect?
If you read the story, the part of the problem is that apparently this kid's been banned like
9 times, wasn't it?
Times or something, and he keeps coming back with new whatever. And all I can say there is, well, it sounds to me like Fortnite's got some issues with its game then, if they're not able to IP ban and keep it out.
Dude, as far as IP ban goes, you could change your IP very easily if you know what you're doing.
Sure, but I'm just saying, like, honestly, a part of me is like, good for you, kid. Like,
really?
He's not for the cheating part, but just like, and it should also be be talked about the matter of perspective of what he's doing to cheat. Like, some people cheat to do, like you said, one-hit kills and whatever. But other people cheat for only things that really affect them. For example, extra money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that you can buy things in the game. It really doesn't affect anybody else.
Yeah.
Now, is it still cheating? Yes. Should you do it in an online game? No. I am against online game cheating. I am not against single-player cheating. But this kind of issue, people just say, well, you shouldn't cheat at all. Well, blame Konami.
I suppose they did start it, huh?
Up, up, down, down, left, right, A, B, select, start.
Yeah, there you go.
And then the funny part, select, is so you can play 2-player.
We're getting close. We're getting really long in the tooth with this episode, but there's two things I want to talk about. First, we've been dodging this one for quite a long time, guys, but I don't think we can dodge it much longer because it's getting so big. As you know, we've made a promise to you guys to never get political, and we decided that it's gone on to the point of political and gotten to the point of being part of our realm on the podcast here, which is what's going on in Hollywood. Harvey Weinstein, Louis C.K., Kevin Spacey, Bill Cosby, all this shit that's coming to light as far as it goes for sexual harassment.
No, Bill Cosby was before Harvey Weinstein, but for whatever reason...
Well, I'm just listing them off in general.
Yeah, Harvey Weinstein kind of set this new, exposing off.
It's getting huge.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think we can dodge it much longer. Because here's the problem is, most people would say, well, so what? They're destroying their own career. Yeah, but a whole bunch of other people are getting affected in the fallout of this. Such as people who are employed under them, people who are going to be making money off the movies they were going to make. Well, they're just gone fucked now, aren't they?
And this is kind of why I wanted to talk about it. So I know not a lot of people are listening to our little odd pod, and that's fine. But things spread. And one case in point, ever since Harvey Weinstein was revealed to be a dirtbag, everything's coming. Like, nobody knew all this stuff, but because a few victims finally came forward in one case, more victims are coming forward in other cases. Now, some people are being assholes about it, and they are saying, oh, these people are just looking for money, and this didn't really happen. There are going to be a few cases like that.
That's what I was about to point out. There's going to be people like that, dude.
But those are going to be the minority. And what I kind of wanted to say on this topic is I don't want to get into the ins and outs, but despite the fact that, yes, there are people losing jobs over this that had nothing to do with it. Because, like, for example, Bryan Singer is another one who is in the alleged category currently. He is no longer working on a bunch of movies that he was working on. And now half of those movies are in flux, meaning they don't know if they're going to continue with them. Some of them are still going under other people.
Yeah.
But in this particular industry, and this can be in any industry, mind you, but in this particular industry, the big people, the main actors, the directors, the producers that are getting all of these allegations and some actually proven, they are the top. And when the top folds, everybody underneath them loses their jobs because their jobs are tied directly to the top. But I'm not here to say that you shouldn't say anything because a bunch of people are losing their jobs. What I actually wanted to say on this topic is the victims are the victims. And I feel like there's lots of different sides to this right now, and the one side that we should all be remembering is that for those people that were victimized by these predators, don't shame them. for coming out, because
I've not heard much shaming going on, though.
well, there's been a couple of cases
Really?
where people have been saying, "Oh, you're just piling on. This isn't, and it's that kind of thing that causes people that have been victimized not to say anything. It's that kind of stuff where they go, oh, well, I just won't say anything. I'll just deal with it personally. And some of those people can't deal with it personally, and they end up stopping living because, that's the extreme end of the case. But I'm just saying, all of this stuff coming out about this, if you are a victim, don't feel ashamed for coming out against the people that victimized you. And if you see a person coming out that is a victim, don't try and shame them into shutting up because you think that they're faking it. Because the amount of people that are faking it, and yes, there will be, is much less than the amount of people that were actually victimized.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Excuse me. Absolutely. And, I truly hope that this whole thing gets resolved without people acting like total assholes. I hope this whole thing gets resolved quite rationally, but, I hope a lot. And I tend, as you guys say, I tend to have pie in the sky type of thoughts, the perfect world type of thoughts, because we know it's not going to be that way. We know it's going to get fucking stupid real quick.
Well, my biggest hope is that there's no more assholes to get exposed. Like, good grief! Why
cute.
are so many of these people these horrible people? Stop being horrible people. Be nice.
They're humans. Done.
Yeah,
That's just done.
yes.
There is one last thing we need to talk about, though. And this is something that I'm sure, knowing you, Casual, you've been chomping at the fucking bit for. And I have my opinions, Fox is selling themselves to Disney. Like the dirty whores they are. What does this mean? I could care. Like, there's so many things that could be done amazing with this. But what does this actually mean? Because I know a lot of people are worried about Deadpool, but, let's fucking face it. Disney is also the same company that put Kids Out, which the whole movie is about them, raping each other, doing drugs, knocking each other up, giving each other AIDS. I mean, it's a fucked up little movie, so I don't think we have to worry too much about that. Well, of course, it was a subsidiary, but still, it was fucking Disney. So I don't think we have to worry too much about that, but what does this actually mean for our favorite franchises like X-Men, the whole nine yards?
Okay, so there's a lot to unravel here. I'm going to try. I know we're going a little bit long, but for people that give a crap about this, so it's not. First of all, the news is reporting that Disney has purchased Fox for $52-point-something billion.
I'm really amazed that's as low as it is. I honestly thought it'd been more. I really thought it'd been more than that, because
part of the issue, and this is where, like, most people don't look past the headline. They see that and they go, "Yeah, X-Men and Fantastic Four is finally going to Marvel. Woo!" Okay, there's a lot to break down here. And as a person that really enjoys the industry,
mm-hmm.
I delved a bit deeper. Now, there's a few things. First of all, Fantastic Four isn't a part of this deal. Fantastic Four was never owned by Fox.
Are you shitting me?
There are two parts of rights, and this is something I actually found out recently. When it comes to the rights for the movies, and I think it also extends to TV shows, but I may be wrong, the two main portions of rights are production and distribution. Now, Marvel does not own the rights, Disney does not own the rights to the distribution of the Incredible Hulk movies. Those rights are still owned by Universal. Now, I know we're getting outside of Fox, but I'm just setting an example here. those rights are probably never going to be outside of Universal, because Universal is infamous in the industry for holding on to the rights of everything they own with a stranglehold. Even if they never do anything with it again, they just will not give anything up. Now, Fox does not own the rights to produce, nor do they own the rights to distribute. They just were given distribution of the film, because that's the other thing. Sometimes you distribute a film without having like any major you just distribute one film and then you write a new contract for the next one. So Fantastic Four is one of those weird cases. Fantastic Four is owned by Constantine Films. It's this film company nobody's ever really heard of. Constantine Films has retained the rights to produce Fantastic Four movies by producing Fantastic Four movies within an 8-year time frame. Which is why in the 90s we got a really bad version of the Fantastic Four. You can probably find the full movie on YouTube at this point. You might be able to find it on other places that we won't discuss here. But it was so bad because they spent almost no money on it so that they could produce it, so that they could retain the rights before they launched the one with Jessica Alba and the other people that were in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the reason that they produced Fant4stick was the same thing. They were getting close to running out of the rights. They needed to produce the movie. Anyway, the point is that Fantastic Four doesn't come with the Fox Disney deal.
So we won't see Wolverine and Mr. Fantastic beating the shit out of stuff together?
No, and this is the other part that I definitely want to talk about, is we might not see any of this. Okay, so the deal between Disney and Fox has been signed. The contracts have been, they signed whatever they did. But this is not where the deal ends. The next stages are legal. Lots of legal issues. Mm-hmm. For example, one of the legal issues is antitrust laws. If you don't know what antitrust is, you can Google it, or I can basically say the more well-known word, monopoly. Mm-hmm. In the U.S., there are rules to theoretically protect the public against a monopoly, because if a company were to gain a monopoly in a particular area, they could price hike. They could screw the people that are purchasing product. So these rules have been around for a while. I don't know how long. It may not be even as long as I think it has. But the antitrust laws are there to protect us, the consumers. This deal has to go through antitrust regulation to see if the lawyers and politicians involved think that this deal will create a monopoly that is too big to exist. Not a monopoly, but you know what I mean. Yeah. To create a company that is too big to exist. And for those that don't know what the numbers mean, allow me to explain why this might not actually go through. Why antitrust might say no. Disney owns, based on box office numbers, relatively speaking, about 15% of the box office in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. That means 15% of all revenue that comes out of the box office is going into Disney's pockets. That doesn't sound like a lot, but, it's a nice chunk.
Just Fox, a nice chunk, yes.
Fox also happens to own about 15% of the box office. Now, again, that's not a huge amount. There's plenty of competition to go around. Now, combine those two. You've just created 1/3 of the market is owned by one company.
I suppose I get what you're saying there completely, and it makes sense, but at the same time, I would like to think that movies I would like to think they're all about art, and art can destroy anything like that. But, let's just talk rationally for 30 fucking seconds here and realize it's not about art anymore. I haven't seen a piece of art on the silver screen in years.
You haven't seen Mother. Neither have I, but that is pure art because it was a huge stinker.
The hell's Mother?
Are
we talking about the Danzig song?
No, but it's a very, very strange movie that was made recently.
Jennifer Lawrence was in it.
Yeah, you can Google why it's like nobody knows why this movie was made. It was pure director art. Like, it made no money because it was so the director's like just stream of consciousness on the screen. Like, ugh. But outside of the antitrust issues and the fact that not every character is coming back, as a fan, yes, I want to see Marvel and Fox Marvel come together as one unit, because then we get, like you said, Daredevil fighting Deadpool, maybe. Who knows? But it may not happen, and when people are worried about what happens now for the movies, well, first of all, nothing. For at least a year. Like, at least a year, there's nothing's going to change. We're still going to get the next Deadpool movie. We're still going to get the New Mutants movie. We're still going to get the X-Men Phoenix movie. The reason we're going to get all these things is they're already at a stage of production where they're either nearly completed or completed. So there's no reason not to keep going with them. It would be anti-beneficial to stop all of this stuff and start redoing it. Secondly, Marvel MCU, they're not going to change anything about what's going on there right now. They're already too far on their way to the final Avengers movie, and Kevin Feige has even said that everything changes after the final Avengers movie, which is not the next one, but the one after that.
Well, at the same time, though, it's doing so well. Why would you want to change something like that? That's just a money-making machine.
Exactly. Now, they are not against immediate changes. For example, when they made the deal with Sony for Spider-Man, they suddenly dropped a Spider-Man solo movie into the schedule because they said, we have ideas, but what you have to remember is they probably already had those ideas while they were making the deals. So something tells me that I think the fourth Avengers movie is going to change things because they knew this deal was coming too. I have a suspicion that when they say everything changes, this is what they meant. The introduction of the X-Men back into the universe. Potentially the Fantastic Four. I mean, let's face it. If Constantine Films is smart, they are going to sell the rights to the Fantastic Four, because Disney is also kind of infamous for not wanting to give up anything. Like, when they bought Marvel and the Fantastic Four movie came out, the most recent one, Fant Four Stick, it was so bad that Disney executives talked to Marvel Comics executives and they canceled the Fantastic Four comic book.
Really?
They killed off the Fantastic Four in universe and they stopped making the books.
They didn't kill them off.
Well, they got lost.
But technically, after the new Secret Wars, they're creating the new multiverse.
Okay.
Yeah.
but my point is they're not in the stories anymore. They're off doing their own thing, and that should show you the power of Disney in that they are not going to take no for an answer. There's a reason that they haven't made a Hulk movie, because they don't want to distribute under Universal. They want to distribute themselves. So being a company that doesn't have to distribute under Universal. They basically reached the rock and the hard place between Universal not wanting to give up rights and Disney wanting all the rights. And so we may never see an Incredible Hulk movie. There are, however, ways around that. For example, they can use the Hulk in any MCU movie. So what if they just don't call a solo Hulk movie Hulk?
How about we call it the big green guy? The big green guy with a tiny small dick.
How
Jolly
about they
Green
call
Giant?
it like everybody's been wanting Planet Hulk, which is a storyline in the comics that made a lot of waves, and it was great. Apparently, I didn't read it.
I read a bit of it. It was fun.
What if they called it Gladiator Planet, and it just turns out to be a Marvel movie?
That's a thought.
Then we're in cheesy movie knockoff territory, like Transformers and Transmorphers.
Oh God, I still have to watch Transmorphers.
No, you don't. Come on now. But like I look at this from the perspective of, let's assume that everything goes great, no antitrust gets involved, and the deal goes through, and Fox is now wrapped into Disney. Going only off of the thing I really give a crap about, there's two things that I have always given a crap about in this particular regard. One is Fox owns the rights to the original Star Wars A New Hope. The original is still owned by them. Now, assuming this deal passes, that means that Disney can now re-release, for the first time in decades, the original unmolested versions of the original Star Wars trilogy.
Unfortunately, they actually can't do that. George Lucas has an agreement with Kathleen Kennedy that the originals are never to be released, ever.
Yeah, but that agreement is not written in stone. I guarantee you that Disney can do that. And while that agreement is between George Lucas and Kathleen Kennedy, that's the other thing that you have to consider. There's going to be a lot of jobs lost once this deal actually goes through, because there's a lot of crossover between departments. Like if I were Disney, do I keep the Fox animation department? No. Disney already has Disney Animation and Pixar. What do they need with Fox Animation?
What does Fox Animation do? I can't think of anything they put out lately.
Ice Age. That's really the only thing I can think of. I'm sure they've done more, but like that, and that's the point. Like, what do they do that is big enough that anybody gives a crap? Nothing.
There you go.
There's definitely going to be some people fired at the low end of the scale, like because again, that's the other thing. Like, speaking just in the animation department, so Disney has Pixar and Disney Animation. They have their animators, but maybe there's a few animators in Fox Animation that are a little bit better than a few of them in Pixar and Disney Animation. So they get rid of a few in Disney Animation and Pixar, and they grab the ones that are better from Fox, and they fire the rest. People are $2 billion worth of human resources are going to be lost once this deal is finalized, because Disney said in a statement, we are going to save $2 billion in this deal.
The biggest thing I'm looking forward to is Disney being progressive, having Wolverine come out as X-23 dressed as Cinderella.
God damn it.
Well, okay, so let's talk about the potential, like, okay, the deal's gone through. Yay! No antitrust. No, everything's all kosher. We have the X-Men, even the Fantastic Four back. How do they get the Fantastic Four and the mutants into the current MCU without screwing everything up? It's easy. It's Deadpool. And I don't mean his own movie. I mean Deadpool.
Just because he breaks the fourth wall so much, or?
There you go. Deadpool comes into the latest MCU movie, whatever it is. The one, it can be an X-Men solo film. It can be a crossover between the Avengers and the X-Men. It can be just a guest appearance by Wolverine. They mention the mutants in the movie. Deadpool is there. He says, I never heard mutants mentioned in this universe before. Oh, well. How do you get Deadpool into a movie that is, generally speaking, PG-13? It's easy. He starts to swear, and you either do one of two things. You either bleep it out, which I don't think is a good option. I think instead you change the words he uses. Instead of saying fuck, he says flabbergasted. And then he pauses. And he says, flabbergasted? That isn't what I said. I said flabbergasted. And he goes on a little rant about, oh, I get it. It's because I'm in this movie instead of my own movie, where I'll be able to say flabbergasted right.
I would kill to see that. I would kill. I think actually blending the the changing the words with the bleeping together would be tasteful, because I think it'd be funny. Because the bleeping would be obvious, but exactly. But the changing of the words would be perfect, because it goes right along with Deadpool. You know what I mean?
But that's my point. Like, everybody, there's a lot of people thinking, oh, they'll never do an R-rated movie again. No, they totally will. Disney is a big corporation, and they do have certain standards or whatever, but Logan and Deadpool made a ton of money. They are not going to just ignore that R-rated comic book movies work. They're going to release them under, and this is what I think they might do. I think they keep the Fox logos, and they just start releasing all of their R-rated projects under Fox, much like they used to do under Miramax and Hollywood and Touchstone.
Yep.
Like this,
Buena Vista was their other one.
Oh, Buena Vista, yeah.
Well, that's actually the parent company. Like, people think it's Disney, but it's actually Buena Vista is
Oh, really?
Disney.
I didn't know that.
Movie studios. Like, it goes under Disney by general population, but if you look under the like movie studio parentage, it's Buena Vista owns Disney, this and that and the other. It's weird. But I think Deadpool is the easiest way to just lampshade everything through Deadpool. I guarantee Deadpool is a part of like the future. Like, Deadpool is the part of the future of the MCU, the same way that Wolverine was in every movie of the X-Men and is in every comic in Marvel Comics. Deadpool is that perpetual character that you just use for whatever you need to lampshade the things that are going on in your movies, and he's a popular character, so why not use him?
You know what I love the most, man? So I decided just to kind of look it up to see. I was going to try to find a list of R-rated movies that were made while Disney owned them, just through the different subsidiaries. And I'm looking, it's all about Deadpool. Every fucking story that comes up through the search is about Deadpool. And it goes back and forth like, Disney said they will. Disney says they won't. Disney says it's not off the table. Disney says it's completely off the table. Jesus fucking Christ. Have anybody actually asked Disney for an official comment, or is this just hearsay?
Disney's not going to comment.
Right? Jesus Christ. All right, guys, it's been fantastic today, but I think we've just about reached our wrap it up point. It's been awesome talking with you boys. I'm Stacey Kruger. Who the hell are you boys?
I'm Robbie.
I'm Rad, and I'm confused. Didn't you say that this podcast could be supported?
It can be. Casual, would you mind talking about that?
That was too heavy. Can't be supported.
God damn
You're putting me on the spot. I don't know anything. It's, what is it? At Patreon or Patreon?
Patreon.
At
Patreon.com/Odd Pod Podcast. That's 2 Ds on the first pod, not the second one. Or you can go to my stream, twitch.tv/Stacey Kruger, and subscribe to me with a tier 2 sub. There's 3 different tiers. Tier 2 and 3 will get you access to the live recordings of the podcast. Like T-Dub is listening in right now in our Discord, which, once again, humongous thank you to you, T-Dub, for being a tier 2 supporter. That is a great way to help support us, to make sure we can continue to put these things out on time. or else we just can't afford to do it. And it sucks because we're poor. Thank you guys so much for being here. We'll catch you next time. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe we'll actually have Quantum back. Do you think that's ever possible?
No.
I didn't think so either. Take care, boys. I'll catch you next time.